everybody, and welcome back to the Uncensored Anime Podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things anime uncensored, and we are your hosts. I'm David. We got Kenny, we got Jerry, and today we are joined with a very special guest. If you've been to an anime convention around the Texas-Oklahoma region for the past year, for example, OkiCon, Ecchi Expo Midessanime, then this person's He's the brains of it all. He's in charge of it all. So let's welcome to the show, Josh Wilson.
Hey
applause,
guys!
Applause!
Hello, Uncensored Anime fans!
Yay!
Yay!
All right, Josh. So tell the people what you do, where they can find you, what your socials are. Give them kind of a broad idea of who you are coming into this episode today.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Josh, and I manage Fandom Events. And we run 8 conventions in 4 states: Colorado, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and the rest of them in Texas. One of our flagship events is Ecchi Expo, which is the South's only 18-plus anime convention where all things naughty and uncensored, are absolutely
yes, sir.
Welcomed and invited and celebrated. And I've ran conventions for about 10 years. You can find us at fandomevents.org.
Oh, good.
That will give you a list of all of the conventions we've got over the Southwest United States. And our next event is Anime New Mexico in Albuquerque at the beautiful Crown Plaza, March 18th through the 20th. You can find that website at animenm.com.
Sick. That's awesome.
Ooh.
And now, people who are fans of the podcast, they actually know that me, David, and Kenny, we have attended in 2021. We went to 2 of your events. We got the opportunity we attended Midessanime, where we actually met Matt David Rudd, and then we got him on the podcast last year. So we met him at Midessanime, made that connection, and then he was willing to come on, which was really awesome. And then we also, just for our own fun, we got to attend Ecchi Expo, which the 3 of us. Hey, Josh, yeah, we filmed some stuff, but then we realized we probably shouldn't put it on YouTube. So we were like, yeah, maybe not. But we had
looking for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would not. No. So we had a lot of fun at Ecchi Expo though, and it was an absolute blast. Probably one of our favorite experiences of the year last year, Josh. So we really had a really good time at Ecchi Expo. So before we get into any more deep questions about your history, the best and the one thing that I ask every guest, so those of you who have been watching the podcast for the last year or so, you know that every time we have a guest on, I always start with the same question, and that is that I ask every guest, what is their top 3 favorite anime of all time? And that question I always predicate it as, that doesn't mean that this is this person's, they think these are the 3 best anime of all time, but instead they're the 3 that are the most important or the most special, nostalgic, the 3 favorites of this person. So Josh, tell us if you had to pick your 3 favorite anime, and we might rib you a little bit. We want to at least get into it, learn it, right? So let us know what would you say if you had to pick your 3 favorite anime of all time, or if you had to pick 3, what would they be and why?
Okay, my first one would be Cowboy Bebop. That one really turned my whole worldview on. It flipped my worldview on what possibilities of Japanese animation would be. The first anime I ever watched was Ninja Scroll in maybe 96.
Like way back. Yeah. Oh, that's a classic. Yeah.
Ninja Scroll.
And then after that, I watched Cowboy Bebop. Not soon after that, it was maybe Perfect Blue and
oh my gosh,
Ghost in the Shell. And just with those couple of shows, I thought, is all anime like this? Like, this is all this good, and nobody's telling me? I was so pissed off at my friends from hiding this treasure from me.
Right.
I learned later that's not all anime are created equal.
Right.
Just like any other fictional
genre.
Very true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The next one that really got me reinvigorated into anime was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, geez,
for my day trade, I hold a master's in library information science. I'm a librarian by day trade.
Oh, sick.
That's what I do for a living. So I've gotten pretty adept at picking out story arcs and storylines and knowing, I know where this is going to go. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood kept me on my toes.
Incredible.
As a literary critic, not knowing where it was going to go, how things were going to plan out.
Right.
Death Note would have been a close one as well, because I had no idea what was going on. I loved it. I couldn't say, this is going to happen in this arc, and then this is how it's going to pan. And I was wrong. And I love being wrong.
Right. Ooh, that's a hot take. I like that.
Yeah. And my third one is Spice and Wolf.
Oh, everyone! That's a new one. I think you're the first one to ever mention that. That's a great series.
Oh, that's
Okay.
yeah, I love it. It's it's super chill. It is the closest representation that I have between my wife and I. We used to cosplay. She'd cosplay as Holo. I'd cosplay as Kraft Lawrence.
Oh wow!
And we were. It's absolutely not necessary in the cosplay community, but we just happen to physically match those characters,
right?
As they're portrayed in the manga and the anime. And so we got a lot of positive feedback for being a very screen accurate, if you will.
That's dope.
That's dope. And it was just a chill show. And our dynamic, our personal dynamic between my wife and I is very similar between Lawrence and Holo. Probably seconded only. Well, it is number one. Number two would probably be Senpai and Nagatoro.
Yes, yo, that's fire. I think that. So I don't even know if we've ever even talked about Spice and Wolf ever on this show, because it is such an underrated gem from that era, I think, and it's one of those ones that like that show. It's weird. I always find like one or two people who are like, "Oh, I love that show," but never do I hear it like in their favorites, or "Oh, it's a good show." So I think that's really cool to hear. I was like, "Oh, shoot, John. Okay, yeah, fuck." I was like, "This man, okay, he's got some. That's good." But Brotherhood, I consider Brotherhood one of my favorites as well. And I think that Brotherhood is just such. I mean, you said it best. Like the arcing of it and the characters, everything about the writing that goes into Brotherhood, just it's just an incredible piece of work, I think. But I can see how that could stand out. Boys, any thoughts on? I think those were the cleanest top three. Like we have like zero feedback. We're like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay,
those are good. I mean, I've heard good things about Spice and Wolf. I've never seen it, but love Black Lagoon, or not Black Lagoon. Sorry, I was thinking of my own favorites, and
Black Lagoon's is actually
like Black Lagoon.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Black Lagoon. That's David's favorite because of Revy, honestly. No.
But no, those are all three great ones.
Yeah.
What
did you think? What did you think about the Bebop, the Cowboy Bebop live action? Josh, did you watch it?
I took preventative maintenance steps and chose not to watch it.
I respect that. I very much respect that.
Maybe a good choice.
I respect that. I respect
it. Don't watch it.
I've just been burned too many times by live action adaptations, and I learned my lesson.
Yes. Yeah. We watched it and talked about it here on the show. It was not my favorite. But I actually just met Steve Blum at a convention here in Dallas, and I asked him, WeebCon, I asked him when I was in person there. I said, "Hey, Steve, what'd you think of the of the live action Cowboy Bebop?" And much to my surprise, he said he'd watched the whole show. He didn't hate it. That's all he said. He said, "I didn't hate it." He said, "I didn't hate it as people might think." He said, "I didn't hate it." He said he felt like there was some aesthetic positivity there, and I was like, "Well, that's good." I was like, "I'm happy to hear that, Steve. I'm happy that you didn't hate it." So that's good.
Or like, so what's up with Vicious?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
That's probably a very diplomatic practice, yet not inauthentic.
Right. Exactly. That's the way it felt to me. It was like, I'm sure he's been asked that over and over.
It's the safe thing to say. Yeah.
He was like, yeah absolutely. Yeah. So it was really cool of him. He was really awesome, though. You've gotten to meet him too. I was about to ask that. Have you gotten to meet much of the cast? I'm sure through your many endeavors you may have.
Let's say, in his top three, of course, he's meeting those cast members.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah.
Come on.
Okay, so Josh, I think the next thing I want to ask you about is, can you tell the audience a little bit about how you ended up organizing anime conventions? You told us just now you have like library science background. How do you end up doing what you do now? How does that happen?
Sure. Well, a lot of it's just hard ass work. There's that part of it. People I love. Oh, let me find a parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Love going to the fair. Love going to carnivals. Love going to amusement parks.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly anyone ever thinks when they go to Fiesta Texas or Six Flags, I wonder what it takes to keep this place open. Nobody ever thinks that.
Right.
Conventions are very similar. And about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, I started attending different conventions and seeing things that worked well, seeing things that didn't work well. And at the time, I was a youth director of the public library, and I wanted to showcase the amazing things that programs I had developed for youth and teens. And so I begged this board of directors, hey, I want to do a one-day Comic-Con. And I want to bring in a few celebrity guests in the voice acting, maybe a Power Ranger, bring in a band, have exhibitors, and I want to have manga libraries where kids can come check things out. I want to do a costume contest. I had to say costume contest.
Yeah, they didn't know what cosplay was.
Cosplay?
And much to my surprise, they said, yeah, sure, yeah, fine, go to whatever. And, and it quickly became the largest library convention in the state of Texas. So that was cool. And it was very affordable to get in. It was quite a financial boon to the library system.
Right.
So, and just taking that and expanding on, okay, well, that worked. What else could we do? And at the time, I was still employed with the school district, and that takes up a lot of time. I was a coach. I'm not right now. I don't think I could do both. It'd have to be either or. And but at the time, I was coaching and didn't have time to manage my own shows. So what I did is I got hired on by a different company that owned a few conventions, and I became their event director. So I did all of the behind the scene things. They're the ones that wrote the checks. I didn't handle any financial transactions. I just tried to make the best convention I could, given the budgetary time constraints that were there. And so probably during that phase, I really cut my teeth. Okay, so out of the three of you, which one is the biggest Dragon Ball fan?
Sheesh. It's
probably
It's not
me.
It's probably me, honestly. I think I'm probably the biggest Dragon Ball fan of the three. We all have obviously seen and watched it, and it's a big part of our childhoods. I mean, it was definitely our era when we were growing up, so like that was a huge part of it. But yeah, we love Dragon Ball.
So a few years ago, I directed this show called Kamehacon.
Oh,
okay. It was the largest.
I went last year.
Dragon Ball show. Yeah,
I had a lot of fun last year.
Yeah, so I did the year 1 and year 2.
Okay,
year 2 was specifically my baby, and then my wife and I decided this is a lot of fun, but sometimes there can be that phrase, too many cooks in the kitchen. And we decided to start our own convention company, Fandom Events, and we've been doing that. Well, we started in January of 2020.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, something might have happened in March.
Booked all kinds of people for all kinds of things, started forking over money, got a business loan.
Oh no.
Man. And then March hit. Yeah. And so we spent a year just bleeding money. That happens. I am not alone in that predicament.
That was such a huge thing that I think it impacted the con industry as a whole, no matter what. But that's wild to think that was when you took that step. But 2021 looked really good for you, Josh, from what I could tell.
It did. It was a fantastic year. It also gave us plenty of time to plan. So what we could never use the excuse, well, we just didn't have enough time to put everything together. It's like, bro, you had a fucking whole year to do it. You better bring the heat. You had all this time to put on shows. So we did. We now have 8 shows. We have. Is it okay if I go through them real fast?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, absolutely. I think the listeners will be interested. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just start from north to south. Anime Onsen is over Memorial Day weekend in Colorado Springs. Onsen, of course, hot springs, Colorado Springs.
Sick.
Anime Onsen, which has surprised me that some local Coloradoans asked, why on earth did you name it Onsen?
Huh.
I'm like,
weird.
Bro, you live in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
No, you need to watch some more Hot Springs episodes.
It's very confusing.
They're in every show. I mean,
yeah. And then down in Albuquerque, that's coming up. Anime New Mexico is the largest anime show. I think it's the only anime convention in New Mexico.
Wow.
And so that's coming up over what is our spring break, March 18th through the 20th. That'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we had OkiCon over New Year's Eve. That is so much fun. There is no better way to spend New Year's because you're going to party and drink with your friends anyway. You might as well go do it with 4,000 other people that like anime.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know that's so we're all so we all live in Texas right now, but we actually are all born and raised Oklahomans. So that's where we all three grew up. So that's it. When we saw that one, we wanted to try to make it back up, but we didn't make it. But maybe this year. That's our hope, you know.
Oh yeah, please do. Please do. We'd love to have you. Then I have a nice little boutique anime show called Anime Athens. It is in Athens, Texas, which is in between Dallas and Tyler. And it's a small 2-day event. And but we still have some amazing guests coming to that. And it's kind of a chance for people to get out of Dallas to go to an anime convention. So many shows. You could throw a rock in any direction and hit a convention in Dallas. There's just
so much,
a lot of conventions. And so I personally don't have any unction to do a show in the Metroplex.
Right.
I just I love Texas, and then I get into Dallas traffic, and I'm just like, oh, I love my state, but man.
Yeah, Dallas has maybe an overabundance of anime conventions at this point. There's a lot of them that pop up. I mean, almost overnight. It's like WeebCon is brand new, and I went to that this last weekend, and they did good. They did a good job, but yeah, it's like WeebCon is pretty much a pop up. Like that, you know, that they only had one other before that, and they just kind of popped up. So, you know,
yeah. And of course, there's Anime Lubbock, which is one of our older shows. We had that for years, and it's in Lubbock, Texas. Shocker, and it's a really fun show. It's a smaller event. I say smaller as in physically, attendance-wise, it's still 3,000 people in a hotel, which the hotel's not very big. So when you're on Saturday, it feels like there's 8,000 people there. There's not. It's crowded. And then down the road a little bit, we have Midessa Anime, which you guys attended.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and this year we'll be at the Bush Convention Center. We will not be returning to the Marriott in Odessa.
Oh, gotcha.
We'll be down the road in Midland proper.
Oh, cool.
And at the Bush Convention Center, but the hotel is directly across the street, so
cool.
We can go back to that. And then, of course, Ecchi Expo is now moved to San Marcos.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that, and it's a nice place. So OkiCon is held at the embassy in Norman, and Ecchi Expo will be also at an embassy, but in San Marcos.
Oh, fantastic!
Which is fun for us because the blueprints are like a copy paste.
Right.
For on my end, on the back end, it was super convenient.
Yes.
To lay things out. And then probably the show I'm most excited about. This will be what we call our flagship show. And what else would I name it other than Anime Texas?
Yes.
And Anime Texas is scheduled for Halloween weekend at a resort, a bougie ass resort called the Woodlands Resort.
We love shows. Yeah, we love that. Yeah, sign us up. No, that's fucking funny.
River, swim like bananas, big jumbotron where I can screen anime in front of the pool.
Oh, that's sick.
Wow.
Golf courses, tennis courts, basketball courts, so all those Haikyuu cosplayers can get out there and
hell yeah,
get their best Shoujo Hinata.
Yeah,
tennis cosplayers out there. I don't know if there's a golf anime.
No, there's a manga. There's a manga. There was a manga, but it never got made into an anime. Made by the same guy that made Kuroko's Basketball, actually, if you know that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's
same guy.
Really good one.
Yeah.
And if they have ping pong tables, maybe we'll have some Smile from ping pong animation.
Oh, yes, sir.
So yeah, that'll be our biggest show. That's of course in North Houston. We have tried for 2 or 3 years to get a foothold in the Houston market. Of course, Comic Palooza and Anime Matsuri are the 800-pound gorillas in that market. And us being a smaller company, we're trying very hard to provide an alternative to those events. For various reasons, but mainly because we want to do a show in the Woodlands.
Heck yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I know Houston has Matsuri, and that's just massive at this point. And, those metro areas definitely have had some pretty... So, Josh, and you kind of hinted to this in your going down the list, but was that kind of always part of your vision, this idea of targeting maybe smaller towns that didn't have the
Yes.
type of conventions, and is that just because you just have a passion for those small town events, or is that, I mean, what led to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you
Mhm.
think of a fan out in rural Texas or New Mexico, Colorado, Oklahoma, and they look at Acon, they look at Matsuri, they look at Dragon Con, they look at Hallmat, they in Florida, they look at Anime Expo,
Right.
in LA.
Yeah, like-
They go, fuck, that would be really nice
Yeah.
if I could go to that, but I'm not driving 8, 10, 12 hours or flying across the United States.
Mhm.
And it's the old Obi-Wan Kenobi. Of course I know him. He's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That was me. In 2005 to 2010.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I want to cosplay. I want to go get involved in communities. I want to go to panels. I want to interact with these celebrities. But damned if I'm going to spend 7 hours in a car a few times a year to do that. So just in my naivete / hubris, I thought, well, I'm just going to make shows
Yeah.
in those markets. They're never going to be Matsuri or
Right.
Acon. There's just not enough people. There's not
Yeah.
enough nerds in Midland, Texas.
Right.
But the ones that are there, calling all weebs,
Yeah.
come one, come all.
Truth.
This
Yeah.
this keeps you from having to drive over to Dallas or Austin or San Antonio. And so, yeah, you got it exactly right, man.
Yeah.
That's,
It was just,
that's what
it's
we're
that,
about.
well, I love that. I think that's such a beautiful mission. I often, we grew up in Oklahoma City, and even in Oklahoma City, as much as it's, the big city of Oklahoma, there was really only one convention
There
that we
was
went to
one.
growing up. There was one
Yeah.
convention, and we didn't want to. Eventually, we started making the drive down to Dallas when we were old enough to go to Acon.
Right.
But before that, we would just go to our little, in high school, all I would go is, I think it was called the ZoomiCon at the time or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I think is what it was called. And, that was the first convention I ever went to, over 10 plus years ago. And I just am yeah, it's crazy to think that no one has thought, well, what if we provided more opportunities in these underserved markets? So I think that's such a beautiful mission, Josh, to kind of bring that out there. Okay, boys, did y'all have some questions before I'm just rattling off all these questions. I was
okay, my first question is: there's this small show called Vampire Night. Okay?
No,
when is
stop,
Vampire
kidding.
Night Expo
No,
coming?
stop.
When does it come in?
Okay,
When is
Josh.
it? Where's the Where's the Vampire Night Expo? Okay,
Okay,
we're the
Josh,
Vampire
listen.
Night podcast.
Okay,
where
Josh,
all we
so
talk about is
let me
vampires.
catch you up. Okay, so I don't know if you've heard of the anime Vampire Night. Have
sure,
you ever?
for sure.
Okay, yeah, old
Yeah,
shoujo
I'm on
series. It was moderately popular when it first came out.
That's the
Well,
best.
many
All the
years
emo
ago.
kids loved it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Many years ago, when David and I were in high school, we met for the first time when we were freshmen in high school, and it was because I was a big anime fan, and I saw him sitting in the lunchroom reading Vampire Night. And I was super confused because I was I thought that was a girl's show. That's not. So I walk up to him, I'm like, hey man, what do you why are you reading that? He was like, oh, it's pretty good. I enjoy it. It's pretty good. So ever since then, it has become sort of a running gag here on the podcast that we essentially talk about Vampire Night in every episode, and our fans go in and tag the timestamp when we talk about Vampire Night in the episode. So people search the episodes for our Vampire
It's a
Night
broad
mention.
we, okay.
Yeah,
It's a broad we.
Sorry, Kenny
Whenever I talk
Kenny
about
mentions
Vampire
Vampire Night. It's
It's
always
Kenny's
a
gag
running
now,
gag. Yeah, we would love it if you were to get some of the voice actors from Vampire Night at one of your. No, I'm just,
What's the name of the lady? What is her name?
oh, I can't think.
We got to get her on the podcast.
Yeah,
Episode 100.
we have this dream
got
that
48 episodes, okay.
if we hit 100 episodes, we want to get the main voice actress that played Yuki Cross on the show.
on.
That's we're gonna reach out to her and see if we can get her to come on as our dream 100th guest. But whatever. Sorry,
Josh, I have an actual question.
David has an actual question.
Yeah.
So with all of these conventions, I see there's kind of a theme with each of them, but specifically with Ecchi Expo, I guess for all of them, what kind of led to when it comes to the planning and organizing, what kind of gave you the idea for theming some of these conventions?
Oh yeah.
So it's a lot of collaborative work between my wife and I and our staff. Our staff are first and foremost our dear friends. They travel with us. They use up their precious vacation time to do these events with us, and without them, my company would not exist. So that's them. You know, I just get to be the guy that goes on TV. I'll say that it's theming the shows really revolves around what kind of vibe do we want to give to people who look at us on our website or our social media or our TikTok. My wife churns out tons of TikToks, and she cosplays the mascot for the character of whatever show is next.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to Fandom Events Official on TikTok, you will see that my wife is currently cosplaying as the Anime New Mexico mascot.
Oh, sick.
Whereas before, prior to New Year's, she was cosplaying as the OkiCon mascot. So, so what we're trying to do is let people know the trope of this is an event by fans for fans. Yes, but that's been worn so many times, and unfortunately, that's one of the issues with anime conventions is that whenever it's ran by fans, well, let me find another parallel. I love French cuisine. I love to go and sit down at have the maitre d' come in, maybe the sommelier.
Right.
I don't do this often. I'm not Mr. Moneybanks or anything. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah. Damn, Josh out here eating some fucking. I'm joking.
Big baller.
But they come in, they show me the menus in French. I'm like, I think I know what this means. And I ordered the food. I love it. I am a consumer of French cuisine. You don't want me in the back of the kitchen.
Right,
okay?
right.
Anime conventions.
Same.
A lot of them are put together by fans, and they don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And that's not a dig. It's just the truth. And so we hope to communicate through our company that, yes, we are fans. Yes, we love anime. You know, just take the poll here with you three fine gentlemen.
Yeah.
You know, my top three were all right, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you did good for yourself. You hell.
We've had some trash.
Hey, we've had
We
Just remember, Corey said Metabots, guys. We have to remember that.
He said Metabots.
One of our guests said Metabots. So
he's a troll. He's such a troll.
Oh my god.
So we're trying to say yes. We are absolutely dyed-in-the-wool anime fans.
Right.
Back in my day, it was called Japanimation. This was prior to Tsunami. You know.
Yeah.
And I've been around. I'm one of the the Western OGs as far as anime fandoms go. But I also run a company.
Right.
And so with all of those themed events, it's each website, each mascot has its own vibe, has its own feel, specific to that market. So you take Anime Lubbock, the waifu. We call them the waifus, right?
I was going to ask about the waifus. They each have their own theme.
Yeah,
I
just noticed that. Too.
I was like, who designed these? I was like, oh, yeah. Hey, Ecchi Expos. Whoo, she.
Yeah, we had some fun thinking up that one, man.
Oh.
So Anime Lubbock, for example, she's got red and black for Texas Tech. She's a Texas Tech cheerleader, but she's still wearing cowboy boots. It's just the West Texas culture. And then you'll notice she's the only one wearing glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy Holly is from Lubbock.
Oh.
She's wearing Buddy Holly glasses. So
Cute.
when people look at that, they're like, oh, ding, 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 ding. This is reflective of Lubbock and anime. You go to Midland, Midessa Anime.
Right.
There's two waifus.
Yeah.
One represents Midland, one represents Odessa. The Midland one is wearing Midland high colors. It's a purple. She's also taller, and she is a coyote, because that's one of the mascots of Midland. Like the town animal is a coyote. She's taller because Midland is called the Tall City, because all of the skyscrapers in Midland, Odessa are in Midland. The Odessa girl, the Odessa waifu, she's a saloon girl, because Odessa was notorious for being the party town of the two. And it had more saloons than churches until the Baptists found out about that, and they destroyed all the saloons. But for a while, that was the place to go. So the Odessa girl is shorter, she's darker toned, and she's in a saloon outfit. And I could just go on.
Damn, the waifus had some thought. Come on now, Josh. You said, you came through with that.
So much intention.
I was like, oh yeah. Obviously
there's waifus.
Yeah, I was like, obviously there's waifus. But wow, these are very thoughtful. Wow, I didn't know how much. That's pretty impressive. Do you guys have like a artists? I noticed they're all stylistically very similar. Did you guys hire someone? Is it an on hand artist, or was it your wife?
Please go give some love to Soma Shiokaze. Her name is Crystal. She also goes by Dark Elf Studios, and she does a lot of our work. But all of our artists work with us. The Ecchi Expo mascot is done by Octokami. Her name's Klesa, and she did the Ecchi Expo one, and she did the Anime Texas.
Cool.
And she also did Anime New Mexico.
Wow.
Which Anime New Mexico, she is wearing the traditional colors of New Mexico and she's dressed as a flamenco dancer because Albuquerque is the home to the flamenco culture in United States. They have a school, a flamenco school there for dancers. And the girl is wearing traditional flamenco outfit with the paracon, the fan,
Oh, cool.
And our VIPs, actually, we're going to try to get each VIP a paracon so that they can have their fan to match the wife.
Ooh.
Yeah. Wow, that's fire. Okay, so I definitely get. Is there a reason why Ecchi Expo ended up like in Austin, or like that's where it was last year, but now it's moved? Like, were you guys just looking for a good place for that? I feel like Ecchi Expo was its own idea and it became something different. I don't know, because it's definitely, of the 8 conventions you host, it's definitely it's in its own zone. You know what I mean? But is that is that where that came from? Or
yeah, we call Ecchi Expo the con for us.
That's
Yeah.
And I had just visited with artists and exhibitors and fans and voice actors over the years, and probably it took me about just during the lockdowns when we were still doing some strategy sessions on how to expand the company.
Right.
I just noticed that there were not any 18 and up events in Texas or even in the South.
Yeah.
There is one 18 up event, but it's not 18 and up. It's not.
Okay.
It's just a convention with no kids, which is not the same. It's what we envisioned.
Right.
And so I just started speaking with contacts and people in the industry and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think?" Universally, it was "fuck yes, dude. That's a great idea. You should do that."
The moment we saw the advertisement, we said, "Oh, we have to go.
Right,
we have to go,
going.
dog. We have to go." So, yeah,
It's
and it was packed.
Honestly,
it
that
was
venue.
crowded.
I feel like your venue. I assume the new venue is bigger because that venue. Like, I feel like we were crammed in there.
No, it's about 4 times the size.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and we had all kinds of hiccups with the venue because when we went and contracted with it, hotels were still generating revenue, and after sitting for a year generating no revenue, when something at that property would break, they didn't have any money to fix it. Something else would break, they didn't have any money to fix it. Now the air conditioning's out, we don't have any money to fix it. And then the hotel got so in the hole, it got bought out by another company. It went from a Crowne Plaza to a Radisson, but Radisson hadn't infused that capital yet to do those repairs. So we were basically in this low parabola of we're broke as fuck and we can't fix anything. And plus we just didn't know what the turnout would be. And of course, all that's way out of my control as just somebody who owns a naughty anime convention. I don't have any say over the hotel.
That was totally out of y'all's control.
Yeah. I think attendance and talent still had a great time. I mean,
we had a blast, Josh. We had an absolute blast.
Good. Yeah, but Austin, it was, if we want to do it, we tried it to stay in Texas when we can.
Right.
And the bumper stickers keep Austin weird.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I had a lot of good talks with the city of Austin, and the Austin Convention Visitors Bureau was very helpful in trying to find a place that we could utilize all of the space. We knew in year one it would automatically too small.
Right.
But at the same time, Austin is expensive, yo.
Yeah. That was I was like, damn, I was surprised to see it there because, it's just so expensive.
Yeah. So the reason we moved to San Marcos, if we're going to cover this later, is because as we obviously outgrew the venue, we didn't want we started contacting other hotels that were somewhere in between what that hotel was and the Civic Center. You know,
Right.
There's
Okay.
there's a middle ground there. We have no plans to go to a center. Just the logistics of trying to drape all of that out and keep little Johnny from driving by and seeing Bashojo Mom. Doing her thing.
Hey, yo, sheesh.
Yeah, I'm about to say the curtains were effective. I
Yeah,
mean,
they tried their best. Those curtains put in work. They put in work.
They really did.
Yeah, and which everyone seemed really cool about. Just understanding all the protocols we had in place is
Right.
I don't. Yeah, I ain't about getting sued. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So we moved to San Marcos because there were a number of properties that would have worked, but there had been some other conventions in the area which had maybe left a bad taste in those general managers' mouths, and they wanted nothing to do.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
So I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
No,
it was too hard. So we had to move to San Marcos.
Cool.
Yeah.
But
Understandable.
we're excited for this one, and we're definitely it's one of those things where like talk about as much as like underserved markets, these small areas you've been going to, the 18 plus crowd is another just very, I feel like it's an underserved market too in its own right. And I know for us, like I just, again, I'm thinking about the con I just went to, but it was just crawling in little kids and this mixture of like little kids and just, all this. I was like, man, like it's just tough to mash these groups and these communities together sometimes, and those can be the family friendly ones, great, but a lot of us we're into the culture of it sometimes, so we have to have so we have to be, so that's important, and I think that it is its own underserved market. We met some guys at the convention that came up to us while we were there, and they were from like where'd that one guy say he flew in from? Some guy that he had never even heard of something like this. He flew in from like multiple states over just to come to Ecchi Expo, and I think that was really cool. Because it's just people who are looking. I mean, the other part of it is like people who just want to be able to connect with other adults who are into the same stuff that we're into, and it's hard as an adult to make friends, no matter what way you cut it. So
and you get tired of stepping over 12-year-olds in My Hero Academia jumpsuits in the hallway.
Yeah. Talk about My Hero. No, now they're all dressed like Demon Slayer. They're all Tanjiro now. I'm all over that.
Whatever. I saw too much Arcane at WeebCon. That was
okay. Arcane
there's a lot of
Arcane
Jesus,
popped off
a lot of
last year.
eyes.
Well, that's really exciting. I'm excited to see the future of that convention, especially, and all of your events that are going to be continuing to, I'm sure, grow and expand over this. Do you ever see yourself wanting to do? Is 8 sort of like? Was that always the vision, or do you want it to be like more than 8 at some point? I don't know.
Yeah, we're kind of like in the Marvel phase 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're at a comfortable pace. We just need to. We're at a point now where staffing wise, people are burning all of their vacation time to come do these shows, and right now it's just the staff full time is myself and my wife.
Right.
So,
so all of your other staff is all people who essentially work other jobs or careers, essentially.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I still have my, what we call it, our muggle job.
I know. So you actually are doing, you're still, so Fandom Events is still just it's a thing that you're doing. You have 2 careers right now you're working on.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I'm tired, guys.
I'm like, Josh, wow. I feel for you. That's so impressive. And I think that anyone who listens to this needs to understand that I don't think that you're a rarity. I think that a lot of people that work in these events and these things, they also work other jobs. And there's lots of that, especially when you see these small events. And I always hear a lot of criticism hurled at a lot of the the staff did it, and I'm like, you guys got to understand, like we're at these events. These people are working as best they can to get these events to happen, and it's really to serve a community. But I do have to applaud you, Josh. I do think that of the many events that we've been to, me and the boys noticed logistically. Yep. You guys have always, the 2 events we went to, just phenomenal logistics. And I really, as someone. I told you before we started filming that I work in higher ed, and I've pretty much been an event planner for colleges and colleges for the last 10-ish years. And I actually, when I was an undergrad, I created my own comic book convention. It was its own little thing. But beside that, I've just been on that other side, and I think that I really commend you guys, because I think a lot of times my event planner brain is always in like go mode when I'm at these things. You mentioned it earlier, the whole when you're in Texas or you're at Six Flags, you're like, how do we get this to work? I'm that type of person, and I have that same brain process where I'm like, when I'm at an event, how do we get these things to work and function? And I think that we were just all very impressed by both your events. That they very, very impressive. And I'm not throwing anyone under the bus either, but I've been to some events in Dallas that
we've been to a good number.
We've been to a couple of events, and
we've seen highs, we've seen lows.
Yes,
I mean, we stood in lines, and
you know, there are just some things that could be mitigated with some better logistical planning by some people. So, fantastic job. Okay, David, Kenny, any other questions? Any other things before we can get into just whatever's?
Yeah, I got one more. So Josh, you've mentioned working with your wife, and I'm assuming you said you've also cosplayed with her in the past. So I assume that you two have both been together for a long time. So what is that like working with a significant other in this kind of space? I'm imagining, since it's not like it's not your muggle job, it's more of like it is a serious position, serious role, but it's a lot of fun. It's something that you're passionate about. So what is that like working with her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's fantastic, and I'm totally not blinking in Morse code. I love it. It's great. It's the best.
Love it.
No, it really is just been phenomenal for us both to just her background. She has a bachelor's in theater and stage management and production.
That's fire.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's fire. And then I have a background, and I literally organize things for a living. So
that's amazing.
That's been super helpful. It's been phenomenal, man. We've before we started running all of these shows, we would travel across the country. Either as I would travel as an industry professional. I specialized in sequential art for my master's, so comic books, graphic novels, and manga. And then I sat on a committee that was the nation's only serialized, recognized awards list for manga. And so I would just travel across the country and give talks on, hey, this is what the top 10 is. This is coming. These are great for kids. Here's some great shonen. Here's some great shoujos.
Right.
And just mainly my audience were educators and parents who wanted to know, my kid is obsessed with whatever it was at the time. What is all this about? Mm-hmm. And so I would just give primers. And then, of course, my beautiful, stunningly, amazingly hot is a cosplayer. And waifu for lifu. And she would come as a cosplay guest. Mm-hmm. And so these conventions like Acon type shows would get a good deal because they could fly us both in, put us in the same hotel. I would provide hours of programming. She would be a cosplay guest, judge the cosplay contest.
Right.
And so we picked up a lot of things, like you were saying earlier, on how the sausage is made, and going, man, that was really smoothly ran, or, oh Lord, that was a dumpster fire.
Yep.
And just saying, well, and not to dig on them, but just to say, well, if and when we do this events, don't do that.
Right.
You know, maybe try to reverse engineer what led to the dumpster fire.
Yeah.
You know, what were the flammables in the container? What was the liquid that, what was the fuel? Who set the match? Like, what were the steps going backwards that led to this 8-hour line at registration?
Yep.
Kind of nonsense.
Yep.
So
incredible.
Just speaking hypothetically, I don't want anybody to go back and Google what event had a 8-hour registration line.
No, we bid at some of those. Fantastic. That's man, yeah. I can only imagine just getting to work with your partner on that, and that's fantastic. My wife,
I love it.
My wife goes with me to any con that I go to, so she's as big of a weeb as I am. So that's why she lets me have this room that looks like this. The Funko unicorn. I was gonna say that's why she lets me have my Funko Pop room. Okay, so
I'm forever alone. So
David, you're young.
Who needs a wife?
He's
right?
trying. He's trying to find his wife. He's trying to find his wife at Ecchi Expo. That's his hope. That's what
Let's go.
We'll see.
Hey, I don't want to put any names out there, but David definitely had a pretty good talk with one of the cosplayers last year, and they, I don't know, just you guys made a little connection, whatever.
It's not.
Mini Ecchi Expo's to come. Okay.
Mini Ecchi. Yeah, I'm about to say.
I'm just waiting. Just waiting.
Can't get locked in. Okay.
Okay, so Josh, I think that was awesome. It was so great to get to hear about some of that. So let's get away from some of the work stuff, and let's talk some other fun stuff. I don't know. So I want to hear some anime hot takes. That's something we've asked some of our guests in the past. I want to hear from you. Do you have anything about anime or any specific shows that you feel is a hot take that we could discuss / get into right now?
Okay, so probably one of my favorite hot takes is I loathe storylines where the only character growth of the protagonist occurs because they get stronger and learn to punch harder.
So 95% of shonen manga. Yeah, so.
The Black Clover,
Fairy Tail, Eden Zero. Those are actually pretty bad.
Yeah, those are pretty.
Or they spent 3 episodes
powering up the good old Dragon Ball.
That's just terrible writing, and I hate it. And it's just not captivating to me as a reader or as a viewer. I do enjoy shows where a character can't win every fight just by being stronger, because that's not reflective. And of course, it's a fantasy trope. It's a shonen trope. But where people actually have to think and collaborate, and take their licks, that typical hero's journey you see in traditional literature. I enjoy that a lot more. Like, one of my favorites is The Rising of the Shield Hero.
Oh
yeah. He doesn't ever swing a punch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's the protagonist in a shonen.
Right. That's pretty fire.
He relies on his team.
Right.
And the lovely Raftalia, which I'm praying to the anime gods my wife will cosplay. So.
Oh, Raftalia. All right, let's put that out in the world. And I think we're getting a season 2 of Shield Hero this year. I think we're getting a season 2 this year, so that's exciting. That's really exciting. Okay, I think that is I think a lot of our listeners are. I feel like
big Naruto guys.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're
majority shonen heads in our audience.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but I think it's a good take. I don't think that it's as bad as I know that the older I've gotten, it's like when I was 14. Yeah, I love Naruto to death. I've got Madara on my shirt. But the older you get, the more you start to recognize some of the faults that some of those series have, and I think that it definitely becomes harder to even people always tell me, Jerry, just turn your brain off, just sit down and watch a shonen, it'll be great, dog. And I'm like, I just can't anymore. I can't just turn it off and just be like, yeah, this is going great. For this podcast, we had to watch a show called Eden Zero. And I don't know if you've watched it. It came on Netflix last year.
It's literally that.
It's literally just keep punching. Josh, it is bro.
I'll punch you harder.
It's tough to watch. That's all I'll say. It's just
I will win through the power of my fist.
Yes. I honestly, if you had told, that might be a quote from Eden Zero. I think he might have said that at word for word at some point, because I'm not convinced that that's not how he what was that character's name? I can't even remember that guy's name.
I don't even know. I just knew the bad guy was named Illegal.
No, shut up.
Because he was illegal.
Y'all are the worst.
God, what kind of
okay, I respect that. I respect this hot take. And do you think that comes from some of your library background? Do you think
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So were you a big?
Yeah, and just it's okay as a critic.
Mm-hmm. Do you read a lot of?
This is bad writing.
I hate
it. That's part of my job, is to be able to discern, in my estimation, what is good writing, what is poor writing, and that's my take on that. Oh yeah, and for a lot of folks, that also falls into One Piece.
That's what
we love One Piece.
Now we're gonna
Luffy.
I agree. Punch you harder.
But he's
I'm sure, but there is. It's not. It sucks because One Piece is the one. Trope, it's the one show that a lot of us haven't been able to give up, because it's still going and it's still happening, and so many of us from our childhoods have been I know for me, I've been watching it since I was in middle school, and I have never stopped watching One Piece. So it's yeah, I recognize the faults that One Piece has. It's not impossible to notice it, but God damn it, do I love Luffy so freaking much?
Yeah, you're emotionally invested.
Yes, I'm deeply invested in.
I've been watching Luffy punch harder for a long time.
Yeah,
You know,
but yeah, I think that One Piece does sometimes escape some of that criticism because of its. I think a lot of us still have our just love for the series from so long. I think Dragon Ball escapes some of that criticism too. Like people will be unwilling to criticize it because it's such a big part of their childhood or a big part of their nostalgia.
That a reflection on me,
right?
You know, because I'm so passionate about it, and the answer is no.
Yeah,
but maybe. I mean,
but maybe
maybe a little bit,
right?
Maybe kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. I'll just go into the hyperbolic time chamber, and now I'm stronger than Cell.
Yeah.
And
so
kind of nonsense.
Dragon Ball definitely has. I feel like Dragon Ball originated some of that nonsense, to be honest, which is kind of the sad. You know, a lot of other shonen that have followed have even stolen some of its own ridiculousness from what Dragon Ball did, 20, 30 years ago or whatever. That's wild. Okay, any other hot takes, Josh? I'm curious now. Is there others that pop out to you?
We'll just take Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Boku no Hero Academia.
Okay.
I'm in my 40s and I don't give a flying fuck what Deku is doing. I don't care.
Not Deku?
No, what's All Might? What's Midnight? What's Eraserhead? Like, I want to know what what does their day look like?
I got you, dog. Yeah.
They're much more
in the words of the great Michael Jordan. Fuck them kids. No, I'm trying.
I can't relate to them. I work with them all day, 40 hours a week.
Right.
I'm tired of the teenage tropes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just again, well, something like Spice and Wolf or whatever. You know, it's like, these are adults doing.
Right.
And I don't have to deal with, does Froppy, does he like me? Ooh woo. That's
that shit's fire.
I just can't relate to it. But obviously it's super popular.
Now that you say that,
not my job.
Let's go ahead and call Horikoshi up. He needs to write a manga about the adults in My Hero. I would read and watch an anime
just
about
age them up. Okay.
No, I don't care.
He's going to do it in 10 years, and they're going to be the instructors.
I would. Okay, but then the story's still going to be about, like, I don't know. Boruto's like my least favorite thing to ever exist.
Oh God, I hate
Boruto is the worst. I was going to ask you though, Josh, have you heard of a manga that's kind of on the rise right now? It's called Kaiju number 8. Have you ever heard of that?
I'm not.
Okay, so it's a newer manga. It's mainly there's only one volume out here in the U.S. And it's published on Shonen Jump's like digital platforms, and it's kind of a I don't know the right word for it, but it takes some of the shonen tropes, but it applies them to a grown ass man. And essentially, there's this fully grown adult man who's in this world full of giant monsters, and he works like a shitty ass job, but he kind of gets wrapped up into these shonen circumstances, but obviously with a whole new adult perspective. And I think that it's one of my favorite newer manga series that's coming out right now. Just because of that, it takes some of that shonen-y, soupy shonen stuff that happens and kind of flips it on its head a little bit and puts it into an adult's hands. And I actually have really liked it so far. I expect there to be an anime. Good. My guess is that it's been so popular manga-wise. My guess is we'll see an anime in the next year or two. But it's definitely one to be on the lookout for because it's kind of its own little thing so far. But yeah, Kaiju number 8. There's only one physical, like if you were to go to a bookstore, you could buy volume 1. But the rest of it is available. They publish it digitally as it comes out in Japan on the Shonen Jump app that they have. But yeah, that's a cool one. I don't know to maybe that I don't know. You might end up liking it. It's definitely a fun one, but.
I'm all. I could watch, Castlevania and Berserk all the time because that's.
Oh man!
It's those shows where you feel like, this was made for me.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Holy shit!
This is one of the funniest things.
Berserk.
We have I'm about to say we have a friend who's like, wait a second, because he's like not into anime or manga. He read Berserk and he was like, wait, this guy wrote the story, and he drew the pictures.
Oh, he was mind blown. He was like, how the hell?
Wait a minute.
He was like,
wait.
He was like, how do you make something
this good? An amazing story. Right. And you drew it? You're like, oh, wow. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Berserk is a fucking...
It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Okay. I like those top. Damn, this is good. This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
Any others off the top of your head? I'm like, we don't have. I'm just curious. I'm like, did you have any others?
No, those are usually my.
Those are your hot ones. Those are your hot ones. I like it. I like it.
With the hot takes too, I love sports anime and sports manga.
Oh yeah.
But so often it is centered on high schoolers and so it's so formulaic in that sense where it's like
Sure.
some of the ones that are more interesting, like there's one Giant Killing that's just about like professional soccer players. That's really, really interesting because of that sense. It's like, oh, these are guys who are betting their livelihood and their lives on, playing this sport that they were told probably they weren't ever going to be able to do. And it's like, it's that much more driven where you're like, okay, if he gets injured, he no longer can provide for his family. And it's like, that's it. Like, everything that he's ever dreamed of or hoped for, he no longer can do. And it's like, in high school, it's like, oh, that sucks. But, really I could pivot. And then, they'll skip forward and it's like, oh, this guy he runs a business now. And it's like, oh, it wasn't as important as it sort of seemed like whenever you were in high school. And so,
yeah.
I guess
Mm-hmm.
I would like that. My only other hot take would be,
he has another one.
I personally am a busy guy and I'm stressed. I'm not overly stressed,
Right.
but I don't want to relax and then get stressed the fucked out. So I don't do Attack on Titan.
Yeah. So some of that horror.
It's emotionally it's at a a good story arc for me, at least in literature. Downs and high points, low points, lulls, climaxes, falling resolution, things like that. But for me, Attack on Titan is just a 10, 10, 10, and I'm like, I can't take it. Now going back, the reason it's at least in my estimation, experience education is kids love it so much because that's how they learn to conquer fear when they're exposed to scary situations. That's why they love horror movies so much.
Yeah.
Shingeki no Kyojin's a horror anime. 100%.
Yeah.
Well,
And so-
I think it's a bad Gundam anime.
It starts for sure. It's a very serious horror anime. It's a pretty visceral horror anime for a major part of it. I don't want to spoil it for you, Josh, but it gets somewhere else by the end. But but
it's too intense for me. I got to the end of season 2.
Okay,
And I'm good friends with Bryce, and I love him to death, but he knows I don't keep up.
That makes sense. That's interesting. Yeah, for sure. I actually think that genre has kind of gotten pretty popular in other. I mean, Squid Game was massive last year. It was a very visceral show, and I mean, worldwide, it was just very, very popular. And I guess that area of entertainment has become more sort of this just like viscerality with like a lot of violence, hyper violence, and something that used to feel very niche. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, now has sort of become a little mainstream. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe just people are more violent now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Hunger Games was like that. That was like
and pick up a bootleg DVD to find something as graphic as what you see on a random episode of AOT.
Yes. That's an interesting take, honestly, because I do think that our generation has just become like maybe hyper desensitized to like this hyper violence. Like we've just seen it so much that like watching these shows is almost is an escape for us. I know for me personally, I'm really into the psychological thriller sort of horror genre. I really like that sort of stuff, and a lot of times I'll go for series that are actually like that. And I don't fucking know why. Now that I think about it, I don't know why I'm so into that sort of stuff, but I'm like, man, maybe I'm messed up in the head. But no, I think it does it boils down to a little bit of that desensitization and just sort of like that other layer of sort of what are we consuming in our media constantly. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought of something, Josh. You mentioned earlier that you coached, right? What sport did you coach? I'm just curious. Like,
Baseball and soccer.
Okay. Oh, wow. So those are actually two very popular anime and manga sports. Is the word I would use. There's tons of anime and manga about baseball and soccer. Have you ever watched any baseball soccer animes? And is there one that's your favorite? If so,
I don't think I have. No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd say that like probably the most popular baseball one. What do you think? Can he ace the diamond or Major?
Diamond, Ace the Diamond.
Ace the Diamond or Major?
Major is kind of older now, which is the issue. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Those are both pretty popular animes, though.
Yeah, Ace the Diamond.
I think Ace the Diamond was done by Madhouse. I think was the studio that did it too. So it's a really pretty show.
But it is about them kids.
It is about them fucking kids. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I was say something, but there is
at least
on the soccer front. There's one coming out this year that I think a lot of people are going to be fucking hype about. I'll just warn you now. I think when this show comes out, you're going to see a lot of people dressed up in these outfits at your conventions. That's what I'll say because it's going to be a big hit. I think. It's been a pretty massively popular manga, and it's now headed to have an anime. It's slated for this year, but they haven't announced the actual release date yet. But my guess is when it hits, it's going to be...
I think it's, summer this year.
You're going to see it like you see Haikyuu stuff right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be that sort of level of popular. People are going to be really excited about it. So,
Kuroko's basketballs, that's going to really...
Yeah.
I see a lot of cosplayers.
I liked Kuroko's a lot. I think it's awesome.
Kuroko's good.
I don't know. Even if it is about them kids, and actually Kuroko's kind of has like a superpower element to it, which is maybe why people. It was less about the basketball and more about like some of the characters have like very intense superpowers, kind of while they're on.
Literally,
like they can like
superhuman.
Like one guy's like he can throw the ball from anywhere on the court and it always goes in, like stuff like that. Like very ridiculous powers that they have.
That's a good
So I think it's truly the mixture of shonen and sports together for sure. But yeah, I was just curious. I was like, I wonder what sports he did and if he has ever dabbled in some of those sports, because sports is a really popular manga and anime. Honestly, there's some of the most popular of all time, like Slam Dunk is also one that's like massively popular. You know, some of those popular of all time manga and anime are sports, so it's a very popular genre of it. So that's cool. Cool that you coach soccer and baseball. That's very cool. Another thing that I also just thought about earlier, you also told us that you previously had to explain some manga and anime to parents that didn't know what the hell they were, their kids were consuming. Do you have any funny stories of having to explain maybe something that was very odd to a parent or anything like that? I'm just curious.
So I had a mom come in, and she came to me, and she was... she said, my son, all he wants to do all day is just read this damn Naruto. And I said, it's a good show. She said, well, I just think that this stuff is from the devil, and it's going to corrupt my son. And I said, well, that is outside of my wheelhouse as a librarian. I'm not your priest or your pastor.
Right.
But it's a pretty safe manga to read. Yeah. And I said, have you ever picked any up? And she said, no. And I said, well, come with me. I walked her over to the shelves and just picked up volume 1. And I said, it's about this young boy. He doesn't know where his dad is. He wants to be the best ninja he can be. He's going to school to be ninjas. He meets some friends along the way. He learns to do things like, he struggles. He gets beat up a lot, cocky. So it teaches humility. It teaches that you're not always going to win. And she said, okay. And I hand her, and her mom's superpowers activate. And she takes volume 1, opens it right to the sexy jutsu.
I knew I saw that coming, dude. I immediately was like, she probably... It's like, he only uses it like in the very first volume, and like, god damn
like
it.
One page, just one page.
Yeah, yeah. She happened to...
panel. Right to it. And she hands it back to me, grabs her kid, and I never see him again.
Oh, no. That poor kid! He just wanted to read Naruto. Damn it!
Yeah.
I thought the story was going to end that she became a Naruto fan.
No.
Her and her kid watched it, read it and watch it together, and then.
Now I have seen that. I have. I've had moms come up and say, "Hey, my kid really wants to cosplay." I think I had the girl was 14, and she wanted to cosplay. I think. Is it Ryoko from Kill la Kill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's well.
And I said, well, that entirely depends on which outfit.
Yeah.
One of them was wildly inappropriate for your daughter. The schoolgirl outfit would be just.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, well, I'll go ask her. And she texts me later, and she says, it's this one. Skins me the screenshot. It's the schoolgirl outfit.
Okay.
And I said, that's great. You can. That's.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Perfect,
and she said, just out of curiosity, what's the other one? And I said, well. are you sure you want to know? He said, yeah, just in case. So if she asked, can I buy the other outfit? I'm not screenshotted the other one. She said, oh, hell no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, not that one.
No, that wouldn't fly. I said I wouldn't even let her in one of
Yeah,
at
that's
hers, so.
yeah, not happening. We actually there was a really great Ryoko in the second outfit at DreamCon this last year. Yeah, she did really, and it was
I think she won the anime
highly.
contest.
It was highly inappropriate, but it was an adult woman at least.
And everything. Huh?
Yeah, but it was an adult woman. So that it was whatever. But I was just like I was impressed by her attention to detail. But I was like, wow,
attention to detail.
That's great.
Yeah.
The only reason I was thinking about that
detail.
though is I don't remember if you've ever heard the story, Josh. But so there's this story that went around the internet a couple years ago at this point, and it was about a mom who found Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid in the local library. Because their kid had brought home a volume of it to read, and it was like a school library or public library. I can't remember which library of the two. And it ended up on the news, just because this mom was like, "Big booby dragon ladies are in my public library," And I was like, I don't know. As a library person, I was like, I don't know if you have any.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's real common.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty judicious in a school library setting on what I'll put, but I work at a high school, so
oh cool.
Just if it says 13 plus, and I know for sure that there's not going to nips and hair,
right?
Then it's pretty much okay. And as far as the storyline goes, it's not anything that's not abundant in a teen romance novel,
right?
As far as sexual situations or people getting frisky and doing sexy time,
right?
It's the fact that it's drawn out,
right?
Is what flips parents up. It's what wigs them out.
Yeah,
and it's always the one parent that just decides in their own mind, just in fiat, for every kid on this campus, instead of that is not appropriate for my child because I am the authority in my child's life, and that's not okay, which is their right to do. But they usually just think, well, now I'll just go on a crusade to ban books, and we currently have dealt with that a number of times. And that's one of the talks I've done with educators on book challenges, and manga does come up from time to time. I think it was in maybe September, I did a talk in front of, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred librarians that were in that same situation of my kids are constantly begging me, but danged if I'm going to end up on the news for buying something that was inappropriate and I just didn't know. So that's one of my professional duties is I just go around and give these talks on, I have these lists and PowerPoints and slides and etc. on, hey, if you're elementary, these are great. If you're in high school,
that's
you're in a public library, this is what would circulate well. And we track back with what is your patron demand, what are for compared to would that be an appropriate acquisition for your library.
That's fantastic. That's so cool. Yeah. That's such an awesome you call it your muggle job. That's kind of an awesome muggle job. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm like,
it's so necessary.
Kind of a fun outing to get to go and do that. So, but maybe I also work in education, so it sounds really fun to me. But I'm also like, well, maybe it's because my own thing. But that's awesome. Okay, boys. Anything else you want to ask Josh before we start wrapping up here?
I actually had a question. I gotta think.
Kenny had a real question. He wasn't just gonna mention Vampire Night. No.
I have a dumb question.
A dumb question. Josh, you take a dumb question? No.
So Josh, I noticed you're a pretty beefy dude. I'm assuming
David really wanted to talk to you about this.
I admire. I'm admiring. So I was just wanting to know, so from all the time you spend working, all the time you spend, working on operations and logistics for cons, is exercise something that kind of gives you your Josh time? Is that something that?
For sure. Yeah. 5 or 6 days a week for an hour and a half.
Look at that, David. Look at that, David.
We gotta get after it.
That's dedication. That's okay.
That's my me time. Wife who comes with me 3 days a week.
Oh, awesome.
Got to hit them glutes, yo.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Never skip leg day.
Keep that shit fire. Yes.
But yeah, it's a nice time. Two of my staff members, friends, they come work out too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Been training those guys to get them in shape. They also do, if you not at Ecchi Expo, if you come to our other shows, they run a really which I believe they were at the medieval fighters that were out front in the carport.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, okay.
So they basically do medieval times, but without the horses.
Okay.
It would be a bad deal. But they do live action role play tournaments, and they weave a story from Friday going through Sunday. Anyway, those love the gym, and it is definitely a time where it's just me. It's just I'm not doing it for anything other than I need this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I like looking swole, so that's
hey, David knew. He said this man Josh is swole, dog. He said this man Josh got big arms, and I was like, whoa.
No, it's important, like health wise, and definitely, physically and mentally, it's definitely a great. Yeah. I'm a proponent of like.
David, I don't know if our listeners have been able to know. David, you're kind of swole. So like that's. Yeah. David's actually pretty. David, David, show him the arms, dude. David, show him the arms. I don't know. Okay, whatever, dog. I don't know.
I got to turn my camera's breaking down.
Cameron, shut up.
I gotta turn my camera on.
Whatever. Kenny, do you have your question?
God, I don't remember it. Maybe we asked it. I don't know.
Maybe we went over it. Whatever. Well, on that note, Josh, I want to ask you, is there anything else you want listeners to know or anything else you want to tell about Fandom Events, about what you do, about your love of anime, about all this? It's been really great to learn about, especially your passion for it. And, I think that's the biggest thing. I loved hearing that at the end of the day, like, yes, you're an anime fan, but you're someone who is really committed to the actual business side of this. And I think that is such an important part of ensuring that these conventions are run and operated appropriately. And it's really cool that despite that, you are also an anime fan, an OG anime fan, someone who's been in this for so long, but that commitment to the skill sets needed to make these events run properly and make them run well. And I think that's why we've had such a good time attending the two that we've been to, and why we hopefully will continue to be able to, obviously we're Texas based, so it's easy enough to get around to all of your events because they're mostly pretty close to here, other than Anime Uncen's pretty far for us, but the other ones are all moderately within driving distance for the most part. And that's pretty sweet for us because even if we are in mega metroplex Dallas, we like getting out of here a little every once in a while and going somewhere else, and I think that's always fun. So I don't know, anything else you want to tell people that might be tuning in, people that might be listening, what about yourself, about anything like that?
I would say give us a shot if you've never been to a Fandom Events. One of our catchphrases is there's events, and then there's Fandom Events. Okay, so we try to hold ourselves to of the execution, like you were saying, of our event. We do the best we can. Nobody bats 1,000, but we're always looking for help. If somebody wants to see how the sausage is made, as they say, I have never been at a show, looked around, and thought, "Damn, Kenny, I got too many volunteers."
It's
never been a problem.
Yeah,
we're always looking for people to. If you want to get in free, that's a really easy way to get in free to the show.
Right.
You can get into the spiciest anime convention in the Southwest United States. It costs you $0. Just come help me put up some pipe and drape and some tables.
Yeah.
Volunteer. It's a great way to see the back end of it. And we're just thankful to everybody that's responded to the event, either as an attendee or as an exhibitor, and media, guys like you that have said, "Hey, this is super cool. We want to check it out." So we've just been flattered over the last year.
That's awesome.
The positive response we've got, and we're just getting warmed up, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Only up from here.
Yeah, we've told all our friends that essentially, like, hey, we've had a good time at these conventions. Like, if you can make it out to them, go. And even that word of mouth spreads fast, and I think that's important. And I literally have had friends from all over the nation that have told me, like, Jerry, like, we want to come to Ecchi Expo next year because
Ecchi Expo
that is just it's just a place that they're like, wow, like we didn't know that was a thing, or that there was ever going to be an event like that. I mean, David and I bought our first we high-fived and bought our first hentai there. That was our so that was an important life moment for us. So that's fantastic.
Now David has a full shelf, so I
have a full shelf, so
yeah,
I'm a degenerate. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, David's. Let's just say David's collection has grown a little bit since Ecchi Expo. That's all I'll say. But
in the rabbit hole, that's for sure.
Yes. On that note, thank you so much, Josh, for being here. Those of you that are listening at home, thank you guys so much for joining us again for another episode of the Uncensored Anime Podcast. Make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe. That helps us out within the algorithm, but also just helps to grow the channel and helps to get our content out to more people that are enjoying it. If you're listening to us over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure that you drop us a 5-star rating or press that follow button because that also helps as well. But on that note, thank you guys so much for listening. This has been another episode of the Uncensored Anime Podcast, and we're saying peace.